problem with the Christian faith. Yes, indeed. But the question I wanted to ask was...
Maybe I can say that there are many non-Mormon archaeologists who would see that ancient Mesoamerican archaeology fits in with the Book of Mormon in a certain way.
Well, the other issue is that if someone comes to the conclusion after studying the Book of Mormon that it is in fact a historical document and therefore it's true, it rather compels him to become a Mormon. And therefore, he is a Mormon archaeologist or a Mormon scholar who now accepts the Book of Mormon. I don't understand how anyone could come to accept the Book of Mormon as authentic and not become a Mormon. And so it's kind of a contradiction in terms. It's like saying, are there any non-Christians who accept the resurrection of Jesus?
Well,
if you accept the resurrection of Jesus, you become a Christian.
But you'll notice, Dr. Hamblin, there are many non-Christian archaeologists that accept the basic historical validity of the Bible.
They accept that there were those people in parts of the Bible, yes. But most secularists would probably reject that Abraham existed at all, for example.
But they would
Adam existed.
But they would admit that the Bible actually comes out of the ancient setting that it is described as coming out of, would they not?
No, it's not an issue.
Well, is it an issue with regards to the Book of Mormon?
The issue is more like the issue related to Homer and the Homeric question, because there was at one time a significant doubt as to the authenticity of Homer. Now, through archaeological research, that's been demonstrated that, there really were wars back then. So we're at a state, a pre-Schliemann state in Book of Mormon archaeology, if you want to put it that way. So I agree. It hasn't been proven yet.
Okay. Anything you want to mention here, and then we'll go on to another call? Or
well, I think we lost the caller, didn't we?
Right. All right, let's talk with Cabby.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Hi.
Hi. I have a statement, a couple questions that just deal with God in general, but I think they're germane to tonight's show. I personally believe in God and higher power based on faith. I could not prove it to you. I don't feel a necessity to try to prove it to you. My question is, do any of you gentlemen there, based on the evidence that you have and believe in, consider that proof positive of the existence of God and the divinity of Christ? And lastly, then I'll hang up and take your answers from there. Is it sufficient for a religion to simply state its faith? To those who will listen, say that we ask you to join on the basis of faith. This is what we believe. We offer no concrete documented proof other than this is what appeals to us. This is what we believe. We invite you to believe with us. I'll hang up and take...
Well, hold on for just a minute, Cabby, and let's get responses here.
All right.
Go ahead.
I didn't get the first...
My statement?
Do you see any evidence that the existence of God has been proven without a doubt?
Well, I would say yes. And unfortunately, in the amount of time I have, it would be very difficult to give the whole basis for that. But I would say yes. And I would do that on the basis of saying that it is impossible for us to even be addressing the issue and questioning it without the existence of the Christian God. Now, obviously, that puts me under a lot of pressure to demonstrate what I mean by that. What I'd like to refer you to, and if Cabby would be willing to contact us, I'd be glad to either correspond with him or send him what I think was an excellent debate. I don't know if...
And let's take a minute and tell people how they can do it.
In fact, if you'd like to see my response to Farm's review of my book, you can contact Alpha and Omega Ministries. And we're at Post Office Box 47041 in Phoenix, Arizona. That's Post Office 47041, Phoenix, Arizona. And the zip code down there in the nice warm Valley of the Sun is 85068. But anyways, what I'd be glad to send you is a debate that took place, I think, at USC, maybe at UCLA, between Dr. Gordon Stein, who is one of the nation's leading atheists, and Dr. Greg Bahnsen on the existence of God. And I think Dr. Bahnsen is probably the most articulate defender of the Christian faith, in my opinion, these days. And I think you would find his debate with Dr. Stein to be very, very interesting. And he brings this out very much so in his presentation. So yes, I do feel that there has been an argument put forward that basically undercuts any atheistic position in regards to the existence of God, and in so doing, demonstrates the necessity of Christian theism.
Does it simply win a debate, or does it offer proof positive?
Well, the question is who gets to judge of what is proof positive. And Christians believe that first of all, Christians believe, according to the Scriptures, that God has revealed himself to all men, that men are actively involved in suppressing that truth. And so we are not going to say there's not a spiritual element that's involved here. But I think if there was a world where there was a neutrality, where there was an ability to have an unbiased opinion, I would say yes. But I don't believe such a world exists. I don't believe there's such thing as a neutral fact. Every fact that exists because God made it so.
Okay, and then my second question was, is it necessary in order to confirm a religion's validity or belief that evidences exist and debates be won, that simply by believing, saying I have faith, that's not sufficient? Or is that made a confusing, asked a confusing question?
I think that's a good question.
All right, I'll hang up and let somebody else get in and listen to the answer on the air.
All right, thank you. Let's see, how are we going to do this? Did you get the second question?
I was a little distracted. What the
second question was whether or not, if I'm going to do this the right way, whether or not if somebody tells you you should join a particular denomination on faith, that should be enough.
Well, again, it depends on who's telling you. Interestingly enough, I don't think any one of us would disagree that it depends upon the authority of the one so speaking. We would obviously disagree on what amounts to authority, but I believe that when Jesus Christ says, I am the way, the truth, and the life, there is no need for any outside verification of his statement, because he is your creator and he is the ultimate authority, and there cannot be an outside verification of his statement. So, he can say that, and then the question then becomes, who then has the authority to speak for Christ today? And I would say it's the individual who speaks in accordance with his word. That is very important, because I think down through church history you can see that there have been those who've claimed to speak for Christ, but it was no longer their top priority to speak as he spoke. They began to speak their own words as if they had the authority of Christ, and hence you have such things like, inquisitions, which are, a black mark on history itself.
Professors Hamblin and Peterson, same questions.
Well, as to the second question, whether it's enough for someone to come to us and say, believe, take it on faith, I would have some problems with that. I think that you have to have some sort of reason to accept that person's propositions on faith. I find, again, that this is utterly circular reasoning to say that Jesus says, I'm the way, the truth, and the life, therefore we have to accept it because he's our creator. I believe that to be true, but to accept it on that basis alone is to involve yourself in purely, perfectly circular reasoning, so much so that I feel myself dizzy just thinking about it. However, I would say as to the question whether the existence of God has been definitively proven, I'm not familiar with this debate just mentioned here at either USC or UCLA. I wasn't present, haven't read it. But I am familiar with most of the standard theistic proofs in Thomas Aquinas and elsewhere. I don't find them convincing, as I think most philosophers do not. I don't think that the existence of God has been proven. I don't think it's supposed to be provable in that sense. However, I think there are good reasons, rational reasons for thinking it probable. I think there are good historical reasons for thinking it probable. I find the resurrection narratives, for example, convincing. But I don't find them absolutely and utterly so convincing that no rational person could doubt them. I think, once again, that we're left with a position where we have to come to faith, and to take the standard Mormon position once more, the only option to us, the only way to certainty is by personal revelation, because there are no logical or evidentiary grounds so compelling that they can't be denied.